put up a very, very, very basic website. It was, a free to build website from a tool called Weebly. And so we did that and we put them up and we just said, buy now, right? And that's the ultimate test. People can say, oh, that's really cool and I'd like to get it, but do they click the orange buy now button? I think we sold a couple $1,000s in the first week. And then we slowed down because we ran out of inventory and we had to change our design. This is all a test. I think the first one is that you just have to start. By starting, we learned very quickly what colors people like. We learned what features people cared about. We learned so much more, and then we were able to make our investment much more wisely because of that. For a guy, there are not many ways that you can kind of show a little style and show a little flair, right? You can wear funky socks. You can maybe get a piercing, but like on a day-to-day basis and to change things up, like if you don't work somewhere where you have a tie, like where you wear a tie, like you can maybe wear a big belt buckle or you can wear a watch. So for guys, that was a need. And it was a need for me, which sounds really silly, but I was given a watch when I was 10 or 12 that was really nice, and I lost it at basketball practice, and I never wore a watch since then. I always found them heavy and like sliding up and down the wrist, and these are incredibly light. So the fact that I like it, that was good enough, right? Like that to me, it felt like it was serving a need. And for women, similar, it's something fun. It's a different product, and it creates, it sounds silly to say it creates community, but like you will wear this watch and you will have discussions on the street with absolute strangers or at a coffee shop or at a bar. It doesn't matter. Somebody will say, that's really cool. I think the toughest thing is execution. Like literally every day at 10 o'clock, do I really want to check emails and like see one that might be, a little down and just have to deal with it then? Like it's tough at night to have to do it every night, but then you realize, well, you're building towards something bigger. So I think, the idea is one thing, the strategy is the next, right? You can have 1,000 strategies, right? But, the strategy is not going to last because something's going to change with your customers when you listen to them, or, we're going to change from a consumer company to a consumer and a corporate company, which we didn't know was going to happen. So I think it's just a day-to-day grind of really focusing on like kind of keeping your principles, and customers aren't just going to come. So you've got to slowly build and like kind of earn their trust and build credibility. I was nervous the whole time that people weren't going to like it. And so when you're, I think, a little bit anxious, you get a good feeling that, you get a feeling of, I think you're probably more in tune with your customers. We should have started our next version earlier. So we had enough information to make the investment in version 2, and we should have just had more conviction that we were going ahead with the business. I think we've got a pretty strong team. I think we all believed that if we got the right product, it was going to work out well. And I think we all have very good family support. And I have an insane amount of friends in the area who are willing to help and like talk through things. Overthinking it. If you have a good idea, right? Like a good idea, the first thing that you're going to put out there is not what the business is eventually going to be. So the sooner you need to put in the thought, right? Do you need to put in a 40-page business plan? If you're somebody who thinks that way, sure. If you're somebody who is just like, I think we can do it. Like, I think I could sell these watches. You don't need a business plan. I think just like worrying about who's the CEO and who's the director of this or the VP of that is ridiculous, because none of you have earned anything. Like, you got to do it for more than 2 weeks or 6 months or a year to really, really take on those titles and those roles. This is going to sound kind of trite, but listening. I'm pretty good at taking a lot of information and writing a 15-page paper or 15-page PowerPoint document, right? I have no experience in watches, none in really starting a business, none in online marketing, direct marketing, like nothing. A little bit in sales, but not much. And so listening to 2 different groups. One was advisors. And some of those advisors are venture capitalists, angels, professors, and some are your peers. I think the second was listening to the community, to people who were buying our watches. A couple friends who were at big companies and big brands were wearing the watches, and people at their company were like, oh, that's really cool, right? And so one friend in particular who is a director of business development at the Pac-12 Athletic Association, he took a leap of faith on us, and he introduced us to the marketing director who's a rock star, and like that was our first order, and it was, I think, 100 or 150 watches, and they came in late from our manufacturer, so I had to fly. They came in the morning, and I had to fly to LA to deliver them. Um, and like that was our test, and like we did it. They loved the watches. They gave it out to all these media members. They liked it, and then we had a good story, and then it started to pick up and snowball from there. It's empathy, because every day, like, I want to see huge progress, and it's not fair, just hard work. Unless you're really, really lucky, people aren't just going to come in and buy your product. Passion, but I think probably differently than a lot of people. I'm much more passionate about, like, with Modify in particular, it's delighting the customer, right? So it's like, how do we put in that little extra, right? But I think it's just start, and then it's treat everything like a hypothesis. We ended up customizing watches for a very big social network. We sold them a couple thousand. Kind of two parts of the same one. Not getting the new product sooner. So the first part of that was not committing, but the second part was not managing the new product development process better. Probably for my mom, it's just always be nice. The worst advice is that nobody told me after undergrad that I was ready to start a business. I really wish I had started sooner. I love sitting down and just eating a big bowl of popcorn. So any restaurant in Berkeley is perfect for me.